Hello, and welcome to A View from the South Stand TV. You got your host Marlon, you got Ashmatic to the right of me. Hope everyone is well, and everyone who has joined in from Football Heritage. Big up to Saba for sending the people along. It's Tuesday. It's that time of the week again, Ashmatic. First of all, how you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm blessed. Just come back from work, so yeah, just trying to relax, chill off, and be easy. How are you doing, man?
Good. Same. Just got back from work as well, and just literally ready to talk. Who we've been linked with, who the hell we're going to try and bring in. But first of all, let's bring out the main event, the main guest, the person I owe all the YouTubing stuff that I do is down to this guy, right? And I've been trying to get him on for weeks, but let's bring him on. Sava, hope you are well, my man.
I can't hear a thing.
Can you not?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
I can't hear a thing. I can't hear anything.
Oh, it's a bit awkward.
I can't hear you at all through anything.
Maybe log off back on.
Yeah, try logging off and going back on.
Send him a message. Send him a message.
Yeah.
He can't hear you.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, hold on a second. Wait a minute.
Yeah, he's got off.
Yeah.
But yeah, why Sava sorts out his tech issues? Ashmatic.
Yo.
Obviously, we had a game cancelled over the weekend.
Yes.
Good thing, bad thing?
What, personally? For me personally?
Yeah, for you personally,
But,
how are you feeling as a Spurs fan?
I'm not gonna lie, it was a blessing. I got home at 5 a.m, yeah? And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to watch this game. I'm tired. I opened my eye, 9:45. I just looked at my WhatsApp. Game's being cancelled. I was like, yes! I'm going back to sleep. And I went back to sleep. But obviously for the rest of the fans, I feel it for them. Because you know what? Before I was mad excited for the game. Obviously it's on the free as well. So like everyone could have watched it. It was a Sunday, it was perfect timing. And then it being Spurs, it's like we've got no luck, you know. We're used to this. I think as Spurs fans, they just take your soul in each, like, even when the season's not on, they find a way to kind of draw you out. Like, it's mad. But yeah, me personally, I was like, yeah, I need some more sleep. So I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of happy. I'll be real.
Sava, we're just talking about the game being cancelled against Leicester. What's your feelings on it? Happy, negative?
I mean, there's nothing like flying halfway around the world, and in 2 weeks, literally, they've all played 45 minutes of football each. Yeah, it's a bit depressing, isn't it, at the moment? I don't quite understand. I'll be honest. Sorry to be a negative Nelly. You know me. I can't quite understand why we're having a tour where we go to Australia, to Thailand, to Singapore, back to London, then to Spain, then back to London. When you've got a new manager trying to implement a new philosophy, surely you let him stay at the training ground, play some local friendlies, and just implement your philosophy. As much time on the training pitch.
Does this then prove to Spurs fans, like, actually Big Ange and the Hulk the club was expecting Conte to be here this season, hence the reason why the tour was why they put on the tour. They didn't really think about a new manager coming in. They didn't really think about anything really. It was just to exploit, but we're not the only club doing it.
But most of the clubs I've seen, like, I've been watching a lot of this whatever it's called, Premier League series or whatever they're all doing. I see them all out there playing 2 or 3 games each, playing against proper teams. They don't look like pre-season games. Everyone looks fit. Everyone looks sharp. Everyone's playing this nice football, and they're not moving around the country. They're just playing the games where they are.
Yeah,
we're like, it's literally like it's like we're promoting a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, land, sign a few autographs. Oh, let's get on a plane and go to the next country. Sign a few autographs. Have a training session. Next country. It's a shambles. You knew you were going to get this if I came on, right?
Of course. You knew what
you were getting, right?
This is why we knew what we were getting. Sam, you say it how it is, mate. Like, we know exactly what we're getting with you. Haas, fellow host, Leicester. Just quickly on Leicester, quickly. How are you feeling about the game being cancelled on Sunday?
Yeah, that game, it ate 2 hours into my time going up to Covent Garden with the missus, because I was like, I'm going to watch the Tottenham game and then we can go up to Covent Garden. So, yeah, look, all you got to do is go onto Thomas Cook and it will tell you when the monsoon season is in Thailand. You know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We've wasted so much time. I agree with everything Sava said, to be honest with you. We've wasted a lot of time. It's ridiculous. Getting the team to travel halfway across the world. I know many other clubs do it, but you'd think logistically you would sort of do your due diligence and check to see, you know, what's going on weather-wise, you know, in these countries. We're better off playing championship sides, you know, staying at home. But it is what it is, isn't it? This is Tottenham Hotspur. Look, are we surprised? Are we surprised? I mean, we're having a moan about it. Are we surprised? It's Tottenham Hotspur. Nothing is ever plain sailing. Nothing's ever just like straightforward, is it? Just when you think, like, I'll give you an example, right, Marlon, yeah? We signed Maddison. All of a sudden, everyone's like, Jesus Christ, what's going on? We're like signing Maddison. Things are going all right again. Ange Postecoglou's in charge. We're going to be playing this football. 2-3 weeks down the line, we're still trying to cut some deals for centre backs. We can't sign an England youth international. It is what it is, isn't it? Look, let's be honest. It's Tottenham Hotspur. It's a roller coaster. You've got to take it for what it is. We can moan about the management and everyone till the sun comes down, but it's Tottenham Hotspur. It's a roller coaster, baby, and we're going to ride it season after season. Let's be honest.
Quick question: games have been cancelled. Does this mean, though, theoretically, that Ange can have more time with the guys on the training pitch instead of playing these games where, let's be honest, as you pointed out, they're friendlies. They might as well just play against each other. No. Anyone feeling that way about it?
No.
Well, considering tomorrow's game is against, let's be honest,
I mean,
nobody team. So are they just better off playing 11-11 versus each other and being competitive that way? Because the whole Roma coming out of it, it's just a question.
Or maybe they're better actually getting something sorted in advance, you know, managing this better. Yeah. The worrying thing about this is not just that Leicester was was postponed. I mean, I say you can't help the weather, but as pointed out, like everyone's saying, you know, you can do a quick Google and realize that's probably not the best thing to do. Yeah. You know, Leicester being lost is bad, so that's straight away 90 minutes or however many minutes each they've lost out on. Tomorrow, what are we really going to learn? Are the players really going to be tested? How good is how much fitness are they going to need to have? And this is my point. When I watched the other night, I watched Newcastle Villa. I watched Brighton Chelsea. These boys, it didn't look like a pre-season game. They were
great games, by the way.
Really good games. Really good games where they were being tested and they would have come off that pitch thinking, all right, okay, we're fitter, we're sharper. Look at Man United. They look on it. And then Spurs so far, you know, 17 days to our first game, and these players have got nothing in their legs. And then this is the crazy bit, right? Not only are we playing whoever this lot are tomorrow. Imagine we lose, by the way. God, that would be hilarious. Right? Not only are we playing this lot tomorrow, right? We then fly home and play Shakhtar at home, and then 48 hours later we play Barcelona. And that's it before pre-season. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to have the same 11 playing 48 hours apart into the last two pre-season friendlies. So by the time we've started the season, how many minutes are any of these players going to have in their legs? And how's he going to know his best 11, like fitness-wise, how people work together, no new centre-backs? I'm going on loan. I'm going on loan to Leyton Orient. Going on loan. Less heartache, man.
Well, this is the thing. So obviously, as has pointed out, this is the whole thing about supporting Spurs. It's never a dull moment supporting this club. But let's talk about transfers. This is the whole reason why we're here, right? Ash, right? So I said to you last week, there was one player we missed out on that we didn't want to talk about. And I said, you were like, no, let's do it now. And I said, no, in Spurs, it's not going to happen, right? Which is true. It hasn't happened. And we'll talk about him later. But let's talk about the defense situation. We've gone from getting guaranteed 2, which was Tapsoba and Van der Ven. They still ain't walked through the door. But yet, we're still not getting the defenders. Now we're back to only going for 1. How's your feelings on the defender situation right now?
I mean, it's the same as last season, isn't it? Like, we knew what the priority was, right wing back. Summer came around, you know, we went for Richarlison. But we already had strikers. We were really good in that department. This season, fast forward. Yes, we were screaming out for that playmaker, but the priority was centre-backs. History repeats itself. So when it comes to having a plan, having, you know, an idea of what's needed, looking at what happened last season, thinking, okay, we conceded 63 goals, 15th worst team in the league. If it wasn't for the goals we scored, you might not even be in that top 10. So you'd think there'd be a bit more urgency to get at least one of those centre-backs through the door. And, you know, some people say that, you know, we're on a tour and those signings can get done later. But me personally, I think the reason why I was concerned is because Pochettino said it before. He wants players to have a pre-season so he can get up to the level and fitness. A bit what Sava was saying, a bit the sharpness, the continuity, the players getting to know each other, to understand the tactics, the system, to bed in. So when they start the first game of the season, they're ready. But I have a conspiracy theory. I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. My conspiracy is that Levy doesn't sign anyone in the month of like a June or July of importance. He only sends like a certain amount of players. The reason being is he wants to reduce the wage bill. Once the wage bill hits August and we have to have that season, we need to start. That's when he will do like he might sign a player just to save on wages. So I suspect that Sanchez will have to leave. So we have a salary that's gone. And then when that salary's gone in, we're able to get another salary in. So that's my conspiracy theory. I've seen it before. It's not the first time this happens. And that's the reason why I think the this is happening. That's why I'm not too surprised. I'm not like, oh my goodness, we haven't got centre backs, blah blah blah. I desperately wanted one in before we went on tour. It never happened, and I just thought, okay, we know what's happening here, so there's no point getting upset. We get what we get, and that's it, really. Like, for me, I've got plenty of time as a Spurs fan to be miserable. Right now, I want to focus. Yeah, it's summer of love. Yeah, so that's what I'm about right now. When the season hits, then I'm all on board. Right now, I'm just trying to, like, you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Sava, burst his bubble. Why is he being positive about the situation?
I mean, I've got no idea why anyone is positive about Tottenham right now, right? Listen, actually, let me chuck a positive. A positive is that we're going to see some football. We are going to see our team play football, and we're going to see our team score a load of goals. This also has an impact at the other end of the pitch where we're already terrible, right? We're going to let in a lot of goals. Now, there will be people out there. I'm not saying you, Ashmatic. I'm saying loads of people I see in this chat, my chat every day. Be patient. Be patient. The window's not shut yet. There's still 18 days to go. I had to break to people. Our biggest issue, and it has been for 5 years, is centre-back. We've always scored goals, right? We've been all right in other areas. Centre-back's been our biggest issue for 5 years. Right. And sorry, Ben in the chat, stop telling me to chill. I've supported Spurs 40 years. I see this year in, year out. I'm told to chill every summer. I'm never wrong. Right. Sorry. I'm not saying like I'm not wrong about how these owners run the club. We know how they run it. We will get in a centre back. I agree. I think we will get in a centre back before the season starts. But as we just pointed out, after this game tomorrow, we've got 2 pre-season games before the season starts. If that new centre-back is to play in one of those 2 games, he needs to sign next week. Right? The first game is on Saturday, so he needs to sign by Wednesday, Thursday. So we're going into a season with a brand new number 1 keeper, a new centre-back that we're saying will slot in on game 1, and fans go, yeah, it don't matter. Just learn on the job. Just get used to it. Just get used to each other during the first 5 games of the Premier League, right? Learning how the goalkeeper works with his centre backs. Does he come out and claim things? Does he punch things? Him telling you where he wants you to be for goal kicks, right? Him telling you where he wants you to be for when he plays it out short or rolls it out. The 2 centre backs learning the high line together, forging a partnership. So when I get people say, "Chill, we're going to buy," this should have been done. This is our biggest problem. And if you guys had a leak on your roof, yeah? You had a leak on your roof, which is the first line of defense to stop you getting wet, i.e. conceding goals. Yeah? Maybe for a day or 2, you put a couple of bowls underneath and a few towels, right? When that starts to keep leaking and leaking, how many days until you're ringing up and going, can you come around and I don't care what it costs, fix that? But we're not. More towels. By towels, I mean Dyer. He's a towel, right? Longley, another towel. Davis, Tanganga, Roden. These, so all these fans that keep telling me to chill and we will buy. I'm so bored of it. I don't care what other clubs are doing. No other club needs to rebuild their defense the way we do. No other club. Name me one. Sorry, I'm really annoyed about Spurs again. And I promised I wouldn't get annoyed this summer.
How are you feeling about the whole situation, defender-wise at the moment?
Yeah, we knew it would happen. Look, let's be honest. Yeah, we all got a bit excited when the news broke out about VDV and Tapsoba. We thought, actually, we're trying to get these deals done and trying to get them across the line early in the season. But 3-4 weeks later, here we are. It's like as Tottenham fans, we never sort of learn, do we? We always get roped in, and then we get the hype, and then it all dies down. And then, it's a massive letdown. But look, I definitely think we need to get someone in. But if it's just the one and it's long late, it's just going to be so underwhelming. Something tells me that he might be the one, simply because Ange might look at it and say, look, he's played with this lot before last season. But then you've got to look at it and say they've shipped 63 goals. Longlay's played enough games in that defence to have contributed to a lot of those goals that we leaked in last season. So for me, how he can be an option is just beyond me. You know, he's just as culpable as Dyer is and the rest of them. So, and even Romero last season as well. He didn't cover himself in glory last season. Nope. Everyone keeps on saying we need to get that steady defender next to Romero, but he needs to fix up his world, if I'm being honest. It's not just a case of bringing a steady Eddie next to him and then he'll be all right, because that's still going to be in his nature. And I think that's something that's going to have to be addressed on an individual basis, whether it's one-on-one sessions or whatever. I don't know, but it's not, for me, it's not just a case of bring someone in and then he'll be all right. But look, Ange come out today. I think he spoke about Davies. He said something along the lines of he's going to be a fantastic. He said he's going to be a fantastic left back for Tottenham Hotspur. Dyer,
so it begins, Has. So it begins.
Dyer comes out and says, "I can't wait to get started under Ange, this, that, and the other." Same patterns again. You all see where this is going, right? But my question is, right, how many more times are centre-backs, defenders going to reinvent themselves under different managers? How many times is Davies going to become the new left-back? How many times is Dyer going to become the newborn centre-back? Yeah. For me, it's beyond the joke, because if you look at all the other clubs around us, the top 6, 7, 8 now with Villa and everyone else around us, you know, if it's not working out, I'm sorry, you get phased out and someone else comes in. That's the way it works. With us, we're bringing a new manager. Right, Ange, what can you do with Dyer for us? What can you do with Davies? What can you do with X, Y, Z? Can you make them better? Can you turn him into a left back again? Can you turn him into a better centre back again? It's beyond the joke, isn't it? Let's be honest. You know, you might keep one or two. Okay, you might say, look, financially, it's not viable. We can't get rid of all our defenders. I'd understand that. But at least try and act like a club with a bit of ambition, okay, and get the players in, regardless of, oh, we're going to be paying too much wages. We're going to be, you know, too much out of pocket. Well, just a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember whose show it was on, but apparently Tottenham are the 3rd richest club in the world, or sporting franchise in the world. So
yeah, it was revenue, wasn't it? I think it was sporting revenue, 3rd in the world.
Yeah. All right, 3rd in the world, sporting revenue. Okay, whatever you want to call it, right? In the world, this is over every other sports entertainment franchise in the world. Yet, as Ashmatic said earlier on, yeah, it might be a case of, you know, we might be paying too much wages. So, you know, we've got to have to balance the books and this, that, and the other. I'm sorry, but, you know, if you want to mix it with the big boys, if you want to mix it with the cream of the crop in the league, you got to start acting like a big club. And I think it was Benjamin earlier on. I just want to address this. He said no club ever gets the signings that they need before the preseason ends, this, that, and the other. I'm sorry, but if you look at them lot down the road, they've addressed the issues that they had. All right, they went out, they bought a defender as cover because they knew that Holding's not going to be a viable option as a backup. They went out and signed a defensive midfielder because they lost Xhaka. And they went out and who else did they buy? They bought
Havertz.
And they bought Havertz as well. So they bought, essentially, I don't rate Havertz, but let's not judge Arteta, because we all laughed when they bought Ramsdale in, and now he's probably going to be England's number 1. All right, so I'm not going to judge him on that. He's probably got other plans. He's looked at him and thought, you know what, I'm going to turn that guy into a player. But what I'm trying to say is, clubs do get their business done before pre-season ends. It is the case. The big clubs do.
And we've done it before. And, you know, when Toby Alderweireld came in, I can't remember the other 3 signers, they came in before the pre-season. But Ash, when we went live last week, we were linked with a youngster, from Blackburn. Everyone said it's going to be done the next day. Before we get into why it's not been done, let's take a look at him. And talk us through it. Bear with me.
First of all, Spurs are the biggest drawouts. Anyway, Ashley Phillips, centre back, 18 years old, from Blackburn, England, under 19s international, right foot predominantly, plays for Blackburn, as I said before, in the Championship. He's had 8 starts. Contract ends in 2025, so he's got 3 years left, or 2 years left, should I say, on his contract. Played 8 times, as I said before, started 5 of those games. Passing accuracy is 83%, in his own half 88%, and in the opposition's half 63%. 4-3-3 formation, so similar to what we play. He plays on the right sided of the centre back, so as a right sided centre back. So I'll clip together a couple of pieces where we show him in possession. So he brings out the ball. It looks like the type of defender that we're trying to go for. Someone that's a bit more front-footed, someone that's going to bring the ball out from the back, a modern defender that kind of gets the ball first time and is able to take it out, composed on the ball. That's what I'm looking for. So he wins the ball high up again, able to dribble it, and he's able to find a play at the end of it as well. First touch, immaculate, starts the attack there. Very confident at his age as well. 18 years old only, and he's already looking well established in the side. Again, finds a player, but here's his long-range passing, so he can clip a ball. And look at the technique on that as well. That was perfect, if I don't say myself. But yeah, passing out from the back under pressure. Again, switching it from right to left for the inside of his boot. Lovely challenge, and then a calm pass away to get his team out. This is defending. Good blocks as well. Gets in the way of shots. Able to, stop a cross coming in between the sticks. Very, very explosive, quite fast. Stops the near post finish each time. Able to get in front of his marker. I think that's really good. So his block level is really good. So all these clips here, I'm showing blocks and clearance. This is what you need for a centre back. But his recovery as well, really good just to stop the attack in the right position. So I'd say technically astute as well. Good positional awareness, where to be. Helps his fullback clean up there. Able to slide, and good aerially as well. I'm going to show a little bit more of that as well. Blocks a ball there. And again, eats that player out, eats him alive. I like the assertiveness there. Just there and ready to get a player. Reads that player, able to get it. Here's his heading ability. That's something we need at Spurs. Someone that's strong in the air. Someone that's not afraid to get on the end of things. That's what you want to see from your defenders. Not just recoveries, not just blocking, but being physically dominant. Because your team will depend on you when it comes to those aerial duels. And he's really good at that. He's really good at mopping up, really good at heading the ball, winning the ball back, and very composed as well. It's not like he's erratic with his headers. Seems to find someone as well when he headers as well. So again, it's just a prospect. This is a small sample. This is the best I could do. It's the best I could find out there, because obviously it's a championship player. There's not a lot of footage on there, but there's just a few examples on the prospect that we're trying to get. And apparently he's not going to affect the centre backs that we actually bring in. He's just one for the future. But yeah, from the clips I showed, from what I found, I can see why they're going for him. He seems to fit the mold of a modern day defender type that we're looking for.
Sabbath, can I come to you? Positive signing in the sense of,
do you know what?
Or another towel?
I'll tell you what. I tell you what. Watching that, he looked like our best centre half. I mean, let's be brutal.
Looking at that, yeah.
Let's be brutally honest. He looks quick across the ground. He looks an athlete. Good in the air. He looked composed. Didn't dive in, but nicked in front of players. For me, I sod all that, getting him in and putting him in the youth team. Get him in. Get him in. Listen, I half jest, but I truly believe you might as well bring him in. He's better than Dyer, Davis, Longley, Sanchez, Tanganga, Roden. But look, again, to go back to how you started this, Marlon, it's, we all went to bed that night going, okay, we've got one for the future here. And only Spurs could mess up a signing where I think they wanted 5 million. Like, Chelsea just go, I'm not comparing us to Chelsea, but Chelsea, like, every week you see that some Brazilian has joined for 20 million pounds from some club that no one's ever heard of. You go, great, well done. That's someone for the future. Spurs, no, not the 5 million. It's too much. We don't want to invest. I just hate this club at times. But look, on a serious note, difficult to tell. Like, it's good. We can put together compilations and it shows his good bits. He looks good on paper. If you were scouting him, you'd look and go, yeah, you've got everything you need for the modern day centre back. Get him in. Get him in as your fourth choice centre back, maybe. Have Romero. Get your two others in, whether that's, I don't think we'll get VDV and Tapsoba, but whether that's Van der Ven and Tosin, and then have Ashley Phillips as your fourth choice. There's your four, right? I'll be comfortable with that four. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be people going away on international duty. Romero loves having a few weeks off before Argentina plays with these fake injuries. Give these players a game. But yeah, he looks good from that. He looks really good. Yeah, can't complain at that. It's the most positive thing I've said.
We're trying to keep this positive for you. So,
I'm trying, mate. I'm trying.
Before I go to Haz, weaknesses. I know you would have done his weaknesses. What is he weak at?
It's hard. It's hard because he's such a young guy. He's a young prospect, and he's got a lot to learn in the game. So those games that he did play, he didn't start every game, and so I feel like the manager's still feeding him into the game, pushing him slowly. So he's very raw. He's very cultured at the moment. So I just feel like he needs, if he does come to Spurs, I wouldn't be surprised if we put him back on loan because he needs a few games. He needs a lot of game experience. That's the only way he's going to develop as a player. But no major weaknesses, if I'm being honest. I did look around and I didn't see any glaring obvious things that I'd worry about and say, yeah, this guy, he's not switched on, or do you know what I mean? He switches off, because there was even a clip that I didn't put in, but basically what I saw with Van der Ven was when the other centre back kind of switched off and a ball was going across the pitch, I wanted Van der Ven to kind of step in and mop up. This guy kind of does that. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I was looking out for. Does he switch off? Is there moments where he has lapse of concentration? Obviously, he's good on the ball. Recovery speed's there. Again, he's a physical specimen. If you see the size of him, he's like 6'3.5". So he's a power and tall kind of physical defender. So is Van der Ven. You can say the same about him. But I need a few more games to have a look at him to see if there's any more weaknesses, and look at the under-19s games as well for England.
So Hass, you heard who Savile won as his 4. Would you be quite happy with that as a 4?
Well, I'll take him at the moment because we've got nothing at the moment, have we? I mean, nothing.
That's not who I want. Hang on, Haz. Hang on. That's not who I want as my 4. It's my minimum expectation of how the window's gone.
At this point, I think we're going to get to a point where it's like, look, we'll just take anyone. Just bring someone in. Look, if our ambition, I'll say it again, if our ambition is to keep Arnold Dyer and Davies, then what does it say about us as a club? They should have been moved on a long time ago. But look, he looks great. He looks like a great prospect. There goes my hat. My stuff from Temu doesn't work. No, he looks like a really good prospect, to be honest. England's youth international. Seems like he's very good on the ball. At his age, the clips that we've just seen, for his age, looks amazing, And to be playing in a league like the Championship as well, it's a tough league to play in, let's be honest. At a young age like that, you're up, against some really tough players in that league. It's a rough and tumble sort of league. So, he'd be used to that sort of physicality coming from the Championship as well. But yeah, look, if he's the one that we bring in as a 4th choice, I wouldn't mind that. But we have to, as a club, actively try and find some sort of quality to come in, because like I forgot who mentioned it, but I think it was you, Sava. Next season, the type of football that we're hoping to play is going to leave us exposed at the back. City can afford to do it because they've got a top class defenders. They could afford to camp in the opposition half because they know that if the opposition has a break, they've got top class defenders at the back and players that can get back. Someone mentioned I think after the West Ham game, the third goal that we conceded, had we had someone like Van der Ven, it would have caught up with him. Let's be honest. We've all seen the clip. We've all seen that clip. Ash, remember that clip where he comes racing back from a corner? Plays the ball off the line. You know, that's the sort of player. That's the sort of player that we need. He's not a finished article, but we need something that we can work with. We need to wipe the slate clean now, and we need to start bringing players in that is going to fit the system. Because at the moment, like I said, the ambition is to keep Dyer, keep Davies. They're going to become super amazing players again for us. I'd say 3 or 4 months down the line, it's going to be the same story again. Same mistakes are going to start creeping in, and we're all going to start moaning again. When are we going to get rid of this guy? And if Ange walks for some reason, I hope he doesn't, because I like the guy. I think he's a breath of fresh air, to be honest.
Yeah.
But if he does walk and the next one comes in, it's the same cycle again. It's like, yeah, the new manager is going to get the most out of them. Yeah, Dyer's looking really raring to go again. You know, I just feel like we've just stagnated. We need to bring players in, man. Honestly, it's ridiculous at the moment. But yeah, I'll leave it to the chat. Who does the chat want to bring? Who do you guys think? You know what? We can put a bid in for them, and they'll, you know, we've got a realistic chance of getting them. You know, I'm not being funny, but it's Bayer Leverkusen we're doing business with. It's Wolfsburg we're doing business with. It's not Barcelona. It's not Real Madrid. It's not one of the top 6 clubs in the world. These are mid-table side. Sorry, Marlon. It's mid-table teams that we're trying to do business with.
On the Leverkusen bit, though, right? And I'm just going to ask this quick question now. Now that Villa have negotiated a fee for Diaby and signed him, are Leverkusen now sitting in the back going, well, we don't have to accept a bid from Spurs now. We can get what we want because we've got money in for 50-odd million that they've got in from Villa, who have negotiated a fee, right, and got their player in before we've even tried. Or, you know, and then you've got Leverkusen guy coming out today saying, well, basically Tottenham pay our price or he doesn't go. I'm going to leave that one to you, Sava.
Oh, mate, listen. Look, I feel like we really overcomplicate everything. Not just Tottenham. I think like Tottenham fans. Like you probably noticed I'm big on whether it's my show or anyone else's. I love reading the chat, and I always see a couple of culprits that you think, oh God, you've not learned. Benjamin happens to be the person in your show that's not learned. It's like, oh, don't worry, it will all speed up when we get back. Great, that's brilliant, but it's too slow. We wouldn't have to speed up if we paid the money. Let's be brutally honest about this, right? This isn't rocket science. Spurs would have spoken to both Leverkusen and Wolfsburg and would be given prices, right? We're not going to sell unless it is boom, right? Let's take Aston Villa, for example, seeing as they're dealing or have dealt with the same club that we wanted to deal with, right? Aston Villa had 2 bids rejected for Diaby, and the third bid, they got him over the line. And from their first bid to him signing was 8 days, right? So all these excuses, it's not us, it's the selling club. No, it's not. Pay them what they want, you get your goods, right? Yeah. Go to Bayer Leverkusen. This is what we should have done 4 weeks ago. Right, how much do you want for this guy? We want 50 million euros. Cool, we're not going to pay 50 million euros. We want to pay 35, right? Start having your conversation. If they are adamant after a week, we are not budging on 50 million euros, either walk away from the deal and get your next target or go, there's your 50 million euros. Every other club seems to be able to understand this process other than Daniel Levy, right? I've said this a million times on shows in the last 3-4 weeks. I understood last year, right, why we didn't get a Bastoni. I get it. When fans were going, just get Bastoni, I got it. Hometown club, massive club, good wages, 23 years of age. They want 70, 80 million. I get it, right? I understand that. But Van der Ven, they were talking about 30 to 35 million euros, which is about 29, 28 million pounds sterling.
Yeah.
That is where I get really, really frustrated that we can't get those deals over the line. That is absolutely shocking. And you're right, Marlon. Bayer Leverkusen now might look at it and go, well, we've just made 50 million on DRB. Do we need to sell another player? And Tapsoba might be looking at it thinking, okay, I would have moved, but I'm not in. I don't know. I'm not, I'm just, I would have moved, but it's not like I'm desperate to leave Leverkusen. I'm good here. I'm playing European football. We're a good team. We play good football. The manager's exciting. They've just signed Xhaka from Arsenal, and they've got some really good wing backs as well. He's playing with, who are the other two centre backs he's got there? The one that everyone wants, the young guy.
Jonathan Tah, is it that one?
Yeah, Jonathan Tah, and then the young guy that everyone wants. I think, is he what?
Ecuador. Cappy.
Yeah, exactly. So what would be the rush? Last thing I'll say, sorry, before you move on from me, have we ever thought as well, right? Have we ever thought as well that some of these players must be looking at it going, do they truly want me? My agent's been talking to me about this for 5 weeks. Do they truly want me if they won't come down and put the money in for me? So like Villa have demonstrated in the space of a week to DRB, we want you. You're our number one target. We're prepared to pay what you're worth. Spurs are going, we like you, but you're £29 million. If we can get it down to 22 million, we'll give you a go. It's amateur hour. Sorry.
It's a bit like Pau Torres. To be honest, it's a bit like, is it Pau Torres who Villa just signed, who we were linked with from every bloody transfer window, and we didn't get him. But he's gone to Villa.
32 million euros.
32 million euros done. So, yeah, there's a question
Embarrassing,
there.
lads.
Yeah. Quick question, because there was a question in the chat, and I just wanted to get a quick yes or no, right? And I heard a lot of it today on the radio. The Sanchez bid that's come in from Spartak Moscow, everyone is basically saying it's morally wrong that we're even accepting the bid from Russia. A quick yes or no, would you sell him to Spartak, or would you morally take the high ground? And I'll start with you. Yes or no?
Yeah, no. I wouldn't, simply because of what's going on over there. It's not fair on the player as well. No matter what we think of Sanchez, I think he deserves to go somewhere where he can play his football and feel safe. I just don't think that sort of scenario would be right for him and morally right from the club as well. That's just my stance on it, though. I think I wouldn't accept it if it was me.
Ash?
Depends on the player. If the player's cool with it, I'm cool with it.
Quick one from you, Sev.
Same answer as Ash. I've got no problem with it. You can't force him though, right? If he wants to go there, great. If he doesn't, I'm sure we can get 10 million from Turkey or something for him.
So let's talk about the next one, Ash. Højbjerg. So Højbjerg's agreed terms with Atletico Madrid, but there's rumours that basically Atletico Madrid need to sell before they buy. So we've been linked with a couple of players. And the first one we're going to look at is the guy from Chelsea known as Conor Gallagher, who we wanted to look at last week, but I told you we wouldn't have had it wrapped up by then. So let me quickly get it started. Bear with me.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be wrapped up by then, but yeah, Conor Gallagher, English and international, 23 years old, right foot predominantly, plays for Chelsea, of course. He's been quoted as a 50 million at the time, 2 years after his contract, scored 3 goals last season, plays in a 4-3-3 system at Chelsea, but he played in many other systems as well. That was under, I think, Lampard as well as other coaches. There he is, his goals. So he's shooting. He does have a long-range strike, as you've seen there. And here's his days at Palace I wanted to focus on. He seems to improve when he comes in the box. And he gets his body in good positions to pull off strikes. And he's actually not too bad on his weaker foot. I know he's predominantly right-footed there, but on his weaker foot, he can also finish, as the clip shows here. But yeah, in his decision-making, I feel that sometimes in this clip I've showed, it lets him down, and it's not guaranteed that he will develop that in the long term. So he gets blinded when to take a shot instead of finding others around him in better positions, as shown in this clip as well. Again, is compared to other players that we've been linked with, Rice. I compared him with Skip Bellingham, a player from Bayern Munich, and Gozetta. That's been linked as well. Not for Spurs, but I think it was West Ham that were linked with him. But here is his shots per 90, his goals and assists. This is at Palace, by the way, and his shots on target versus Bellingham. So, as I said before, he's not a bad shooter. Long range passing, he's not elite in terms of accuracy statistically, but he has great at picking out players. So he's not bad at that. A good range of passing under pressure. It's not really an issue. He can spot a forward pass, but often he tries the Hollywood pass too often, and it doesn't always come off. So in this clip here, he kind of loses the ball. So it's not really good. He needs to know and learn when to make that pass. Here's a good example of him pulling off one of the better passes, decent cross into the box there as well. I've compared his long passing to some of those players as well. Dribbling, it seems like he has a wide mix of agility and power, and he uses that to find gaps and then powers through the close control. It could be utilized as a focal point to start attacks, and he is bad at receiving the ball at times, but he's good at shielding the ball, and that could help the team get up the field at times. When it comes to ball carrying, sometimes he can be a bit clumsy and could invite the counter press. So he needs to learn how to improve on that just to get to that next level. And there's his progressive carries against some of those players, not level. His spatial awareness is poor, and his awareness can let him down. I think that's the biggest thing I'd say about him. Here's a clip of him at Norwich. He has his back to the opposition at times, and that forces him to pass backwards. Here you can see him dribbling, trying to pick out a pass, and doesn't do too bad in that instance right there. But yeah, I feel like he's a player that if he improves on his spatial awareness, he'll be able to pick up passes a little bit better, and he needs to have a better way of pass in that instance. Build up phase again. I feel like, yeah, back to goal. This is the incident I'm talking about. Sometimes when he's got his back to goal, he's got to pass backwards. You saw that with Højbjerg a lot sometimes in the build up phase. Sometimes he wasn't aware of what was around him, and then would be forced to go home instead of passing the ball a bit forwards. And I think that's what frustrated the Chelsea fans. Here he is making the wrong decision. Defending, he helps his teams out. He covers quite a bit. Can lunge in a bit sometimes and be a bit naive when defending. But overall, he's quite busy-bodied. He is high energy. And I think maybe that's the reason why Ange's probably looking at him. But as I said before, you can see here, he's not the best at defending, but his heart's in the right place, if that makes sense. And here's his stats again for his tackles win. Rice is better than Bellingham's better than him. And there's Maxence Concret. He's from Lyon. He was the player that we looked at last time, Marlon.
Yeah.
He was the player that I really fancied because attacking box to box, playing a 6, playing an 8. I think that Lyon player, he's same age as Gallagher. I think he'll be a better fit for the system. But that's my thoughts on Gallagher. Obviously, this pre-season, I think he has scored a few goals. Shooting is his strength. He has got engine. He's up and down, and that's the reason why I think Ange's looking at him. But I think we could possibly doing better than him. But I think he's a little better than a Skip. You know, he's a little bit better than a Skip, in my opinion.
So West Ham have apparently made a bid. This has been rejected, and the rumours are coming out that Chelsea want 50 million for him. Sava, would you pay 50 million for Conor Gallagher, or would you be looking elsewhere?
Look, I mean, the price is hefty, but it's English tax, isn't it?
Yep.
Look, I tell you what, Conor Gallagher, I mean, he's not, when you say he's a little bit better than Skip, he's much better than Oliver Skip. Oliver Skip is the most limited footballer at the club. I think he's really limited, really limited. Look, Conor Gallagher, what you see is what you get. Like, you get the all-action display. Is he going to be brilliant at any one thing? No. But what you showed there was he is a box-to-box midfielder. He gets back, he gets forward. And I saw some stats from last season that showed from the last 2 calendar years, I don't know the exact name of the stat, but that he went and joined in with the forwards more than any other midfielder did in the Premier League. So he clearly likes getting into the box. He likes going and joining in And like Ash pointed out there from his analysis, he's always seems to be in a good position in the box, ready to grab a goal. I saw him do it the other night when he was playing for Chelsea and the game before. I don't mind him. I think, do we like them personally versus do they actually fit a manager's philosophy and ethos? Right. So sometimes I can go, well, is Gallagher my favourite player? No. Right. But when I look at the way Ange Postecoglou plays with midfielders running beyond, working hard, pressing, getting in the box, scoring goals, he fits like a glove. I think he was brilliant at Palace. I think he had his progression stunted last year by Chelsea having 4 different managers, 55 different formations. Every game it was a different 11 playing. I don't think he's as bad as people make out. I think he's an all-action midfielder that will grab you goals. But 50 million. I mean, we won't even pay 28 million for Van der Ven. So I wouldn't mind if we signed him. I'm not begging to go and get him. But if he did come into the club, I've got no problem with it. He suits Ange's style of play.
So Haas, he's had a good season at Palace. He had a very good season at West Brom as well. Not Norwich, Ash. But then, as Sava pointed out, he was stunted by, obviously, Chelsea and their issues last year. If he walked through the door, how would you feel about the situation?
Look, for me, Conor Gallagher, I think, is a great player. I wouldn't be upset if he walked through the door. You might have seen me shaking my head earlier on when everyone was talking. I'm shaking my head at the price tag because for me, Conor Gallagher is not a £50 million player. I'm sorry. No matter how you look at it, he's not a £50 million player. I'd much rather that 50 million goes towards a couple of centre-backs or towards a couple of centre-backs.
Of course, yeah.
At the moment, we look at the midfield, okay, we can just about get away with it, perhaps. Maybe we can add someone, at a bit cheaper sort of rate. But £50 million for Conor Gallagher, who's had, yes, he had a brilliant season at Crystal Palace. He was probably one of the, if not one of the best players, other than Zaha, perhaps, or a couple of others, Eze. But he was fantastic for them. Can he play? Yeah. Can he dribble? Yeah. He was probably one of the only players at Crystal Palace who I saw dribbling from the deep, like from deep in their own half, dribbles the ball out, passes, progresses, attacks the ball. And like you said, Sava, someone that Ange could possibly appreciate because he would fit that sort of system that he likes to play. But for me, it's a lot of money to spend on a player who, let's be honest, is he the finished article? If I'm forking out £50 million, I'm forking out £50 million on someone who's the finished article, who can come in and straight away, bang. Or
has who? Because in this market, look at the prices players are going for. 50 million seems to be, like, I know as Spurs fans, we don't see our club spend money willy-nilly, right? So it matters to us. Other clubs just don't seem to care. It's like 50 million, boom, 50 million, boom. I'm not saying spend 50 million on him, by the way. I'm just trying to put in there that who is the ready-made player that's much better than him? Because I'll chuck in another aspect here. I've got a feeling that this could well be, if we did go for him, to do with homegrown quota as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And the English tax on a player like that, like Rice is 105, right? They're talking about Florian Balogun going for 50 million. He's had one decent season in France, right? It's absolutely mental. But for me, the key point here is people keep saying Højbjerg, skip him. I don't think he's anything like them. I don't think he wouldn't be a straight swap in terms of positional sense. Those two don't have any kind of flair in them. They don't have any attacking threat. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. Money's money, right? But Spurs are just bad at it.
I mean, look, there's players out there. I mean, look, there's players that have gone to Saudi Arabia for like 35, 36 million. I know the first thing everyone's going to say is, yeah, but they're getting like 400 or 500 grand a week. I know we can't match that salary, but, if clubs are willing to let them go for that much, I mean, you look at Ruben Neves at Wolves. How much did he go to Saudi Arabia for? How much did they pay for Ruben Neves?
Isn't it about 38 million and about
38 million.
500 grand a week? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, but the club's not getting 500 grand a week, Sava. They've accepted a bid of 38 million pounds for one of their, if not one of their best players.
Sure.
At Wolves. Okay, Wolves ain't getting 500 grand a week. Now he's accepted the offer because obviously he's come out and said, look, he's put his family first, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm trying to say is there are clubs out there that will accept offers. You know,
I agree. I agree.
Even Douglas Luiz, yeah. For me, I look at Douglas Luiz, yeah, for the 2-3 seasons he's been at Villa. I think he's a brilliant player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he breaks up play. He's very good on the ball. He's very calm, measured.
And how much do you reckon Villa are going to want to sell him to a rival right now? How much do you reckon Villa are going to want?
And you have to bring his girlfriend as well. By the way,
honestly,
they're not together anymore. They're not together anymore. But anyway, besides that point, yeah, no, look, how do we know? How do we know? We was linked with him a couple of weeks ago. Now, if they turned around and said, and I'll put it to you, Sava, £50 million for Conor Gallagher or £50 million for Douglas Luiz, you can pick one of those two for 50 million.
Yeah, I mean, the difficulty with that question is they're not like for like players.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Again, it comes down to what does Postecoglou want in his system. So, like, I'm seeing a discussion going on in the chat at the moment, like Højbjerg versus Conor Gallagher. They are completely different. It's not like for like. Neither is Douglas Luiz versus Conor Gallagher. I think Conor Gallagher is the guy that you want him pushing forward. You know, as much as he works hard coming back, you want him pushing forward. Højbjerg's a bit more of a stopper. I think Douglas Luiz would go for 60, 65, 70. I truly don't believe they've got any need to sell. And I think that to sell him to us, and we are their rivals now, when you look at league position and the moves they're making and they're in Europe, I just can't see. This is what I mean. Who's going at those prices? Not to Saudi Arabia because they're going for the money. Who's going at those prices that we can get?
Yeah, but even you look at the likes of, I know Leicester's gone down now. The Belgian chap that they bought a couple of seasons back,
Tielemans.
Yeah, Tielemans.
Sorry, yeah.
You know, they bought Tielemans for, I think it was something in the region of 28, 29 million. You know, and he's
Poch didn't want him.
Well, we say Poch didn't want him. We say Poch didn't want him. How true is that? Did he come out and quote? Did he? You know, has he been quoted to say he didn't want him?
Well, he turned him down on loan, didn't he?
Yeah,
he turned him down on loan and kept Winks and Sissoko.
Yeah. He said he wanted a better. He said he wanted a better quality of a Champions League quality player, which at the time he was playing for Monaco, he was struggling. So you can understand where he was coming from.
But also, I'll give you another example. How much did United pay for Bruno Fernandes?
More than us.
Right, more than
5 million more than us.
5 million, yeah, about 5 million. Yeah.
How much did they end up paying for Bruno Fernandes?
Was it
40 some, I think it was 40 or 45 million pounds, right?
Yeah.
Would you have had Bruno Fernandes at Tottenham?
Yeah, of course. But I think we're moving on 3 or 4 years now where the problem is, by the way, this isn't me fighting for Conor Gallagher, right? I don't care.
No, I'm just trying to give you examples. Like,
no, I agree.
But yeah.
What I'm saying is I'm not sitting here going, yeah, we must pay 50 million. If Gallagher signed, I'll go, cool. All right, clearly the manager wants him. My point is this. We've moved into an era now in football, especially with English players, where you go and buy a player and you go, how much? And it's ridiculous. And we say no one will ever pay that, but they do. But clubs are. You've got Atalanta want 60, 70 million for Rasmus Højlund, who got 8 goals in Serie A last season. Mm-hmm. Florian Balogun has only had half a decent season in Ligue 1. And Arsenal want 50 million for him to go to Inter Milan. You know, Vardiel is 20 years of age. I know he's brilliant, 21 years of age, whatever, going for 100 million. Declan Rice at 105. The fees for these players is huge now, to the point where I think it's us that are being left behind. Because of the way Levy operates, we think 50 million is a lot of money. I don't think it is. Villa have just gone 50 million euros, boom, done. Not even blinked. 32 million to Pau Torres, not even blinked. Now there's reports that Villa are going to go and put in a bid for Amrabat. Right, Other clubs just seem to drop this money and go, cool. Spurs fans, for me, we seem to worry more about money than other fans of other fan bases because of how our owners operate. I get it, but I don't care what. If Conor Gallagher costs 50 million, but is the player and just said, that's my ideal guy in a free, pay it. If he's not the ideal guy, don't pay it. Right? I don't care how much a player costs. Just get the deal done if it's who you want.
What I don't appreciate though is the scattergun approach, because it seems to be the Tottenham way. The scattergun approach, like, you know, we'll fire the gun and see who can land. You know, we're not going to get the top targets, but we'll land someone on the cheap. You know, I'm not saying we've always bought cheap, but I don't know. I just think we need to be more decisive in the market. We need to be like,
I agree.
This is who we want. This is the fee that's been negotiated. We're not going to try and haggle you for 2-3 million. Bang, that's the player that we need. What does our manager need? That's what they've got to look at, right? What does the manager need? Not half-hearted attempts, you know, trying to lowball when another club's come in. It's the same old problems.
Because this should all be about what does Postecoglou want.
Exactly.
Like, within reason, right? Within reason. You know, it's all well and good. Like, when, as I said, when we talk about, Conte wanted like Barella and Bastoni, they're not in reason. But when we're talking about, if it is 50 million for Conor Gallagher, and that is who the manager has identified, do it. But look at what West Ham do. West Ham put in a bid for 42 million yesterday and it got rejected. I bet you West Ham put another bid in within 48 hours. Spurs put a bid in, and then for about 3 weeks, we go, I don't know, we're going to try go back to the table in 3 weeks' time and make a decision. Other clubs are just decisive. Like, what is it going to take to get this guy? You know, why don't we go to Chelsea and just say, we want Conor Gallagher, there's 50 million, done.
It's Levy's negotiating style. This is the reason why.
Of course it is.
He's an opportunist, isn't he? It's always about opportunities more than actually.
I was just going to say that, Marlon. I was just going to say that because
if you look,
if you signings we had last season, most of them Zuma. This season it's Maddison. Both coming towards the end of their contracts. If it's a player that's coming towards the end of their contract, we're all over it like a flying shit.
Or relegated.
Bang on.
Solomon, you know, because of what happened, free transfer. Vicario, another opportunity.
Look at our last 12 signings. We went through it the other day. Our last 12 signings, I won't go through them all. All of them were either free transfers, a player with 1 year left on his contract, or the club we were buying from, i.e. in Everton, were in financial trouble. There is not one signing in our last 12 signings where we've gone out at a proper negotiation with a player with 3 or 4 years left on his contract, and we've gone, boom, right? We just don't do it. And I've got to say, listen, this guy Benjamin in your chat, dude, you are everything that Daniel Levy likes, because you've got every excuse in the book as to why Spurs can't do anything. West Ham have just sold Declan Rice. So what? We're one of the most profitable football clubs in the world. We shouldn't have to sell Harry Kane to go and buy 2 centre-backs. Aston Villa haven't sold anyone. Someone tell me if I'm wrong. Who have Aston Villa sold this summer to make the money? Anyone know?
No, I don't think they sold anyone.
Right. I can't think of anyone, right? And they've just gone and dropped 82 million euros on Pau Torres and Diaby. So all of this, West Ham have got money. Everyone's got money. Other clubs choose to spend it. Spurs do not choose to spend it. And eat, sleep, repeat. Mark this words, my words, right? 25th of July next year. You watch. We'll do another show. Benjamin will be in your chat. Same excuses. Spurs will be doing the same things. You watch. Every year I have a Benjamin or hundreds of Benjamins telling me, it's not Daniel Levy's fault, and it's the selling club, and deals are difficult to do.
Ash, what do you think of like the policy? Do you reckon that's the club's policy? Like, we'll go for players that nearing their contract, end of the contract, or we're going for players that sort of.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's like a list. I personally think it's like this. We've got a list, and it's players that are on the end of the contract, players that they've been playing at a certain level, and they get thrown into the management team, the scouting team, and they're like, all right, cool. Out of these players, which ones do you want? Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's the way it works with the club, the way they deal with their signings. And I feel like especially with the Van de Ven deal, I feel like they, especially with Paratici as well, they line up a few players. They might get personal terms done. And then what they do is they walk away from the deal. They think like that tactic works. If they walk away from the deal, then they basically feel that they're going to have the power. And then the clubs, the selling club, they're going to panic and think, oh my goodness, no one's going to buy this particular player. But guess what? That doesn't always work. That kind of Russian roulette where you just try to test someone's hands and see if they've got a poker face, whether they move or not. That doesn't always happen. For Levy, in terms of when players are trying to acquire purchase players from us, then it's a thing where, like, because Levy has the power, that kind of works for us. That kind of works for him, sorry. But in the other way around, it's a 50-50 toss-up because the other club could just be as stubborn. I remember when we were going for Porro and he tried to do the Mexican standoff. And, you know, apparently it was Paratici that went in for the deal. And then nothing was happening. And then Levy had to go in on the last day and save the deal. That's all PR. That's Levy's style. That's what he likes to do. He likes to go on the last minute and see if he can, like, negotiate, you know, little terms and stuff. But it doesn't always look how much we paid for Porro in the end. We pretty much paid the asking price after all of that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So this style for me is very frustrating because we know who we want. And then on top of that, I honestly think they're trying to use Tapsoba versus Van de Ven to say, look, we're in for Tapsoba, but then we're looking at Longley, but then we're looking at Tonson to make the other club panic and think, oh my goodness, they're looking at all these other defenders. Oh, we're about to, and then us as fans, we're like, boy, I don't even think we want a Tapsoba. Well, really, they probably do want him, but the way they move is a bit mad. You see what I'm trying to say? They don't. Like, it's this old school. Now's not the time. There's too much competition. People have moved past that type of negotiation style. Clubs.
Ash, can I ask you a question? And how many years has Tosin Adarabioyo got on his contract?
I think a year. I think he's got a year left. He's got a year left.
He'll be at Spurs. He'll be at Spurs. It's an easy deal. Daniel Levy loves it. It's an easy deal. What's that?
Well,
20 million? Yeah, come on then. Easy deal.
That approach goes all the way back to Van der Vaart. Remember? Opportunistic. All 8 million. Real Madrid are looking to get rid of Van der Vaart. Yeah, we'll have him. Don't get me wrong. He was a brilliant player for us, but again, it was opportunistic. And you know, out of all the players that will go for it in that manner, you're probably only going to get like 5 to 10% that turn out to be like amazing or really good for the club. And that's why we're then left with all these players paying their contracts, but they're of no benefit to the club because they're not good enough.
Who was the last proper negotiation, guys? Who was the last deal that we got over the line that you went, I can't believe we've done that? Like, well done.
Probably not going by the Spurs career, but probably on Ndombele. He was probably the last.
But by the way, no one else bid for him. By the way, I'm just saying, no one else bid for him.
But he was probably the only player I thought it wasn't an opportunity. It was more a case of we went in there and we went and got the player that the manager wanted because it was true the manager wanted. But before that, because when I look at like Toby Alderweireld, opportunity, it wasn't the fact that we wanted him. He was the fact he was on loan to Atletico Madrid and he was on loan to Southampton. And Atletico Madrid didn't even want him, so it was an opportunity there as well. So you're probably looking at Jan Vertonghen's probably the last player that we went out and got that we wanted, and that's going how many years?
Right, this is what I mean. So this stadium being a game changer, it's changed nothing. Our approach is the same every window. Solomon on a free, nice and easy. Let's make hay because of a war going on in Ukraine. Vicario, 17 million. Cool, 17 million. I'm not knocking the player, but 17 million, nice and easy. James Maddison, his team got relegated. He had 1 year left. No one else bid for him. Great, nice, easy deal. The moment a proper deal with players who are not in the last year of their contract or being relegated or their club isn't stuck for cash, Tapsoba and Van de Ven being a prime example, 5 weeks.
Actually, I'll give you a prime example. Saliba. Us and Arsenal were both in for him at the same time. Where did he end up?
It's absolutely mad. You know, and what I don't want to hear is people going, I get this a lot. People go, so-and-so wanted him. Yeah, but did they bid for him? Like someone saying in the chat, Lo Celso, Barca wanted him. Let's be brutally honest. If Barcelona had offered Lo Celso at the time we did the same deal, he would be a Barcelona player.
Easy.
Let's not kid ourselves.
Easy.
Do you know what I mean? This is what I want to see. I want to see one signing that we just go decisive, 1 week, done. And that's what I'm not seeing. And that's why so many of our fans that keep excusing this, they deserve this. I know people hate me saying it. They do. They deserve it. Keep making excuses. You get what you're given.
Actually, when you think about it, it's mad, isn't it? When you look at all the players that we've signed, like, you know, whether it's opportunistic or their contract's been, you know, running down or they've got a year left, it's actually insane the amount of players we've signed in that fashion. When you start to look back at it, you think to yourself,
look at them lot down the road, right? Them lot down the road have just managed to get their most expensive signing ever at 105 million over the line, right? Whilst fending off bids from Man City and outbidding the best club in the world right now, right? Quicker than what it's taken us to be in talks with Van der Ven and Tapsoba and still not be anywhere near signing them. Let that sink in. That is about going and getting your first choice target. We don't ever do that. Perisic, free transfer. Forster, free transfer. Longley, loan. Jed Spence from the Championship. Richarlison from Everton. Danjuma on loan. It goes on and on and on. Every single signing is the same. But our fans don't. Someone's calling me an Arsenal fan in your chat. I mean, if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be happy at how Tottenham are doing business.
I think 24Z makes a good point. You know, Tapsoba, 24 years old, he's coming into his prime. 44 million is nothing in today's market for a player of his quality that's going to come in and he's just ready to go. He's going to perform. You know that he's going to come in, he's going to perform. You know, he's 24 years of age. He's got sell-on value as well, if that's what Levy wants. 44 million. I think if we had that player, if you reversed it, right, and we had Tapsoba, 24 years old, how much do you reckon Levy would ask for Tapsoba?
Well, you just have to look what he's asking for Harry Kane.
Exactly.
In his last year
Exactly.
So you know, it's one rule for everyone else and one rule for another. But actually, before we carry on, before we think, so we did look at an alternative for Gallagher, didn't we, Ash? Right?
Yeah.
Benjamin, who he's been going back and forth, actually would be quite happy about the next one because he mentioned him. So we quickly wanted to look at him, and again, it's an alternative, and I believe there's a fee. Ash.
Yes. So Gabri Veiga, Spanish international, 21 years old, plays in the Spain under 21s, right-footed, played in the Euros just recently gone. So a Viega player, we've been quoted about 35 to 40 million, plays in a 4-3-3 system similar to what Ange plays. Look how many green bars he's got. It's insane. Plays in the right-hand channel predominantly, but plays centrally a lot. Here's his long-range shooting. This delicate chip there, long range shooting, that's his speciality, a bit like Gallagher, but this guy has scored 11 goals, so he's a bit more consistent than Gallagher. Just think of a Spanish Madison. That's the only way I can compare him. Look at the finesse on it. I'm not even trying to gas him. Listen, these clips I'm doing, they're not doing him justice. Here's his goal threat, literally getting on the end of things. He's arriving in the box, and style player, got a good engine on him, runs onto the ends of things. This player will be at Man City. Mark my words. He's going to be at He's a Man City player. He's not a Spurs player. He's got that amount of flair of him. Look at the finishes he does. Calm, float of finishes, easy inside of his foot, knows where to be, cuts inside, near post finish, different types of finish. He just power on this one right across the. So you know the kid can finish. It's not even like a glimpse like in the box or out the box, lucky finish. He does this week in, week out. Dribbling against Barcelona, he turned up, he scored 2 goals against Barcelona, but his dribbling is close control. Someone in tight areas is good. Look at him strength. Someone was saying, he might not be strong enough. Look how strong he is. Can't get the ball off him. Physical, wins the ball here. Gets the ball, flicks the guy up over his head, controls in his chest, speaks for two players. Here he sees first touch, knows where the space is, spatially really aware. And again, like I said, dribbling, there's 2 or 3 players trying to get off him. They can't. He's too good. Almost like a I even say go as far as Eze, the way he kind of floats and drifts and just dribbles. First touch here, good save from the keeper, tries to find a corner. Creativity, he's got that in abundance, can find a player, dribbles, looks through his player. And again, like I said, these clips, like people think I'm gassing, but look, that was a flick on for a header. Here's a little cheeky back heel. He's a flair player. And you're not going to get this with an English Don. You're not. Passing. Again, weight of pass. Brilliant. After the end of a dribble, it's not like he's dribbling for dribbling's sake. He can find his players. And someone that can play from deep, turn defense into attack. And that's what we need. Someone in the build-up that can kind of help us with attacking plays. Hard to get the ball for him. Goes from left to right. Again, across the pitch. Is able to find the play, switch of play. And what I like about him, he has his head up. Some players, they dribble with their nose down. This is a guy, he's got his head up and knows when to pass. And he's got good decision makings and he helps the team in positive ways. I think he created something like 15 big chances for his teammates. So he could have had way more assists. And when I said the green bars, that's in the top 5 leagues, by the way. So that's no joke. That's nothing to be sniffed at. I've compared him to Jude Bellingham. I've compared him to Valverde when it comes to dribbling. I want to show that in a bit. So even though you're looking at these clips, I thought, let me dig out comparisons because there's just too many. As you can see here, it's quite explosive, can get away from his player, turns the afterburners on, his acceleration, his first touch is brilliant, and his hold-up play is good as well. He's able to shield the ball, dribbles the ball in, and here's his goals and assists against Kamada, Eze. Eze's in there, but Bellingham, I'll put him against the top. Progressive carries, he's up there as well next to Eze. Passing could be better, progressive passes, but he's got it in his locker because I'm comparing him with the top echelon. Shots and targets way up there. Tackling, it's not bad, even though it's not at the top. Successful dribbles, just under Eze. But yeah, he's a top player, bro. He's a top player. What more can I say? I really like him. As I said before, 11 goals, 15 goal contributions, outdoing Eze. And Eze had a massive season. I know it's a different league. Some people say La Liga, but he really turns up against the big teams. So against like your Barcelona's, he banged 2 goals against them. So he's a player, only 21 as well. So he's got a higher ceiling as well than most of these players that I've compared him against. So just imagine when he gets into a top team. Again, the price mark is between 35 and 40 million. So he's actually cheaper than the Conor Gallagher. So yeah, that's my thoughts on him. A really stylish player. We definitely won't. It'll be nice. Let me have a little dream at the moment. You know, let me dream for a little bit, guys. I know we're in a place here, and we do the negative thing well, but let me dream for a bit, and I'll be negative during the season. I promise. During the season, I'll be miserable.
Sava, what do you make of the alternative?
Mate, listen, I wish he was the alternative. I think I've seen him play a lot in La Liga. I saw him play a lot for the under-21s in the tournament just gone. This is a player that I think every fan looks at and goes, yeah. This is a player, though, I think Ash summed it up. I think this is a player, I think, if he becomes available on the market, that's Barcelona, Man City. He just looks like he fits their style.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'd love it. Go out right now, whack some money down, close in before anyone else does. But the worry for me is Man City haven't done a lot yet. And I've got a feeling this guy will very much be on their radar. Ash called it bang on. Everything about him screams Pep Guardiola, Barcelona, Man City. Everything about him screamed that. And I think he's that good. I don't think we could get him. I think he's that good.
Do you think he will look at someone like Brian Hill's career at Spurs and go, Spanish.
I'm not sure. Yeah. I think he'd have a bit more confidence in his own ability. I think when you're that good, you know you're that good. Everyone's raving about him. He's everything I like in a player. I just don't know where these fees come from. Where we say like he's gettable for 35, unless it's a clause in his contract. I think this guy's going to go. If there is, cool, go get him.
I think that's the 35 mil.
I just fail to believe that. What is it, Tiggy Buchenstein at City? won't be alerted the moment anybody puts in a bid for this guy, and he's gonna. Do you know what I mean? He'll say, "Pep, you've got to." Pep will know him anyway, won't he? Pep will know. They'll know who he is, and you're looking there. That is a brilliant. If Bernardo Silva goes and they've lost Gundogan and you're bringing in young players, that is right there. So if Spurs pulled that off, I'll be well happy. I can't remember the last time we signed a player like that. Proper player.
So, Sam, if you don't know what we've done in the last couple of weeks, every time we've done a certain player, Spurs have actually gone on to sign him. So hopefully they're listening to you now. If you want to make Sam happy, come on. Here's the player we all want. Haz, how are you feeling about it? You know, would you, after seeing that, or what do you know about him?
It's not. I've seen him play for Celta Vigo before. Honestly, the kid is 21 years old, such a high ceiling. I think he took the place of I think it was called Brais Mendes. It was called in midfield. He took his place, and he's just he's made it his own. Let's be honest.
That was brilliant.
He's one of these like you know, I'd put in the same category as probably like someone like Juan Mata, just really classy and elegant on the ball. He's got a fantastic range of passing from what I've seen. He likes to attack, put it that way. He doesn't drop too deep, but I've seen him in sort of one-on-one situations, and he can defend one-on-one as well, which is a fantastic trait for a midfielder to have in terms of winning back the ball as well. Just a couple of things on him that I did notice. There are weaknesses, though. There are weaknesses. A few times I've seen him play for Celta Vigo where he's attempted to dribble with the ball, and like he's put his team in a bit of trouble by losing the ball with attempted dribbles. But it's a very minor thing, you know, that can be coached. It's not a problem. You can see the kid's got bags of talents, and likes of City and everyone else, we just can't compete with that, can we? Let's be honest. He's either going to go to Barcelona, City. I think Liverpool, from what I read before, Liverpool were interested, and maybe even Newcastle as well. We're looking at him, but highly likely because they've got to sell, I think, to sorry,
Man U as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, top clubs are gonna look. We discussed this like half an hour ago. We don't operate like that. We don't operate like a big club, do we?
Ange is apparently he's a big fan of him. Apparently.
Yeah, I'm sure Ange, right, 100%. He's a big fan of a lot of these types of players across Europe, but whether he gets them, whether Levy gets them for him, that's a totally different story. You know, I could go.
Murray. I did do a video on that guy that you spoke about, by the way. I'll send it to you. But yeah, carry on. Sorry, Has.
No, that's all right, bro. So look, we're all fans of these types of players. I'm sure Ange would love to have all these top quality players at Spurs, but I think he'll soon realise that we just don't operate like that, and he'll have to operate within whatever means Levy sets, whatever philosophy Levy has in the transfer market. That's what he's going to operate under. But we can only look and admire these sorts of players, because just seeing that clip there, you know, I just want football season to start again, because it was the kid's amazing. I mean, the question to everyone: who do we have like that at the moment that plays with their head up? You know, sprays the ball about, you know, looking to get forward attack. Who do we have like that? I mean, I know Maddison's just come, but, you know, in terms of the way he plays, so calm, and, you know, we just don't have anyone like that.
These are the players I'm really hoping that with Ange hopefully being here for a number of years, that we identify during the season so that we're ready to go at the beginning of windows. Yeah. You know, this window, I get it. This window is always going to be difficult, right? Because obviously Ange joined once, you know, the moment that he's finished. The moment the season finished. Sorry, this guy in the chat needs to stop, man. It's getting ridiculous. So the moment Ange finished the season with Celtic going into the Cup, so then he comes to join Spurs. By then, everything's all a little bit too late for targets. Do you know what I mean? If you're looking at these players throughout the season, you can start scoping out, like, do we have a chance of getting them? What's it going to cost? Start speaking to agents beforehand. But that's the sort of signing that Spurs go and make that. all of a sudden the feel-good factor around the club, the positivity. Like people keep saying to me, not just me, like loads of people, just be more positive. I want to be positive, but you've got to give me something for that to happen. That doesn't just happen in life, right? You've got to give me something that makes me positive about the players we're bringing in. So if I woke up tomorrow and we signed Viega, I'll be the first one that jumps onto YouTube and says, top signing, that is what we want. But it can't be one, guys. This is the problem. It can't be one.
Yeah.
That's what you've got to do. That's the sort of players we've got to be scouting out. There's loads of them. There's loads of those players all across Europe. You've just got to scout them out.
And can I just also say, like, this transfer window is difficult. You're right, Sava, because Ange's been left with leftovers. Will said this from last season as well. We bought players in from last season to try and accommodate Conte. We're left with how many wing backs now? 3 each in each position or something like that. You know, so he's got all these leftovers as well that we have to try and he'll have to try and sort of juggle around. So yeah, I do get it. Trying to bring in players, juggling the ones that we had from last season, trying to get them to jog on. I know it's a difficult job, but look, these players are the ones that are game changers. These players are the ones that are the difference between you sort of competing for a title or, you know, a League Cup or some sort of silverware. They are that difference. We just don't have that difference. You know, why do you think we haven't won anything for the last, 20 odd years? You know, because the big clubs, you know, the clubs around us, they've got these players that are game changers. You know, the difference between whether you win or lose. You know, we don't have that. We don't have that. We've never had that in our ranks consistently. I'm not saying we've never had it.
The bare minimum has. This is the problem. It's the bare minimum. So once we get to the end of this window, what we will see, right, is people will go, oh, well, you know, we did get this, and that. But again, it's always the bare minimum. And we'll do it next window. Then we go to the next window, and it's like the same thing will happen next window. And you've got to get we've got to get consistent. Where every window, I don't care if it's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, but every window is 2 or 3 out that aren't as good, 2 or 3 coming in that are better. That's how you start evolving the squad, right? It's not going to happen immediately. I understand that. But look, I'll be honest, I don't think there's any way in which we get that Viega. I truly believe he'll go to a bigger club. Yeah. But if you scout players like that younger, then pick them up when they're young, really young. That's the way I think you've got to do it. And these clubs are really, really good.
What about that kid Moore?
So which one's that, Ash?
The kid Moore. Who
does he play for? I don't think I've heard of.
What's his name, man? It's something Moore.
Mikey Moore. He's 15.
Mikey Moore, yeah.
15.
Mikey Moore, 15
He's on the league with the Tottenham youth, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's meant to be
developed into a top talent. I know it's quite early on, but I think that's the age that we need to start at if we're going to get players. Because
I think, to be honest, I think Alfie Devine will probably be the first one to get his chance, probably under Viega this season. It looks like he's been a lot involved in the first team, and considering he got minutes in the friendly, seems to be a positive thing. I'm not sure. You just don't know. You don't, because we've only had one friendly so far. We don't know what's going on. But with Devine, he's probably going to be the one that is going to be the next young player to step into.
I just hope he plays him in the right position. I think Sar's going to be a good player as well. I think Sar's
he's been speaking very positive about Sar.
Yeah. I like the mobility. I like his strength, his agility, his running, his engine. I like that he's not scared. He's able to switch the play. He gets forward. He plays forward passes as well.
Just listen to what Yaya Toure said about him.
What did he say about him?
I think it was during an interview, Dad, and they were talking about the African players at Tottenham that he's worked with, like, you know, Bissouma and Sar being one of them as well. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he spoke really, really highly of him, of Sar as well. And if Yaya's saying that, you know,
I could see that because of the structure of the player as well. Tall, kind of long-legged, kind of, it's got, like I said, an engine on him. He's got a bit of speed about him as well, can get in the box, doesn't mind defending, doesn't mind taking risks as well with the play. I just feel like with Bissouma as well, there's been a lot of positive talk from Ange. I know them too, like he's saying he's an Uncle Ange, or he's calling him Dad. I don't mind that. I call him dad. Yo, dad. My dad. Well, Greek dad, isn't it?
Do you think, Ash, can I ask you, do you think there is something missing with Sarr? Now, I'm not saying I think this. Whenever I've seen him in a cameo, I think he looks good. But it doesn't matter who's missing from our midfield. He's never given the nod above Skip or Højbjerg. Never. I know obviously now Postecoglou's in, but no manager for the last 2 years has gone Sarr.
I personally think the only reason I can pinpoint it down to is because defensively, I think Højbjerg and Skip tactically a little bit more, how can I put this, switched on, more astute, more educated in where to be and when we lose the ball. Whereas because Sarr's more forward thinking, I think he hits the Ange system a lot more. So I think with those managers before, where they kind of like, they want someone to be disciplined. Like when they were talking about Basuma, he was like, Basuma doesn't quite get it yet. So I think with the ball, they're like, thumbs up. Without the ball, they're a bit more worried about them. Like, how do they look?
It's the Conte rigid kind of.
Yeah, I think it's more of a pragmatic style because they're more like, you see how like we conceded that goal, right? Where Højbjerg kind of got the ball and then it kind of broke down, and then the second bite, it didn't quite happen, and then they flew forward. I think those are the moments they're talking about, even though it wasn't Basuma or Basuma wasn't even on the pitch, but like Sarr was on the pitch, but they might have looked at it like, where was Sarr? Like Sarr should have been really ready, and that's the reason why they might have partnered Skip with Højbjerg, because they're two players that are going to sit a little bit deeper, and their first thought is more defense, or they're worried about what's behind them. Whereas like Basuma and Sarr, they're more forward thinking. They're more like, they want to progress up the pitch. They want to take risks. They want to like, you know, play the way they're facing. Whereas Højbjerg plays it safe, pass back, tries to keep possession, and then other coaches will be like, yeah, thumbs up. You know, it all depends on your philosophy, your style. I'm not saying that Conte's way was wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? Even though it wasn't attractive for fans. I mean, it's different systems. You know what I mean? Because he worked wonders with Inter Milan, but for Spurs, the type of players we had, it didn't really suit the system, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, that's my opinion. I think that's the reason why Sarr is not. But he's smiley. He's always with Son. I think he's infectious. I think that's why Ange likes him, because he quoted that his players with a lot of quality, and you know, they've got the same amount of quality, but they're miserable all the time. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's the reason why he likes Sarr's mentality on top of it, because he's not even getting picked straight away, but he's still positive with it. And yeah, so we'll see. But I do hear that point. Man. What you said, so.
I'd like to see. Listen. I'd like to see him. I think he looks good. I just wondered, like, you know, I think he's a much better player than Ollie Skip. If I'm brutally honest, I think Skip's a really limited. He's like, in the last sort of 10, 15 years, Spurs, it feels like every player that's come out of our academy has been a carbon copy of the one before. When you look at it's true. Like, when you look at, I mean, not in any particular order, but when you look at Skip, Winks, Mason, Tommy Carroll, Jake Livermore, Ben Taleb, Jamie O'Hara, Dean Marney, I'm going back to many years.
Wow, Dean Marney.
If you look at all of them work hard, all of them pass it 5 yards sideways, all of them get talked up by Spurs fans, they're going to be the next big thing, but all of them are limited. No offense. Look where they all left Spurs to go on to. Right, that's the telling tale, right?
Dean Marney went to the Championship, and that's it.
Right. Dean Marney went to Burnley. Ben Taleb went to wherever Ben Taleb went to. Schalke. Mason went to Hull. Winks has now gone to the Championship with Leicester City.
Josh Onomar as well, if you remember.
Josh Onomar.
Yeah.
Skip will go that way in the next few years. I'm telling you, he's not got enough about him. He's a workhorse. He looks like a good lad, but I don't think he's got enough about him. Just my opinion, but we've seen this conveyor belt. You know, like when Liverpool brought through Gerrard, you go, oh, wow, that's a player. We don't bring through that type of player. Do you know what I mean? Like Rice at West Ham, we bring through safe plodders who go five yards, but there's no brilliant defensive ability or brilliant attacking ability or flair or skill. So I think that I think Skip will go that way as well. I do believe, but
no, I'm with
him.
you on. No, I'm with you on that, Sav. I've been with the Skip situation. I haven't seen what other people have seen in him since Norwich, and I've always said he's been getting away with a lot, and he got away with a lot last season as well. Now, if that was other players, they would have been crucified, and you've got to hold everyone to the same. Like if Ndombele is going to get crucified for not doing certain things, you've got to crucify Skip for not being able to do certain things as well.
Let me ask you, Marlon.
Yeah.
If Spurs had spent 30, 35, 40 million on Ollie Skip, and we'd seen the performances we had the last 2 years, what would people's opinions of him be?
And that's a great question.
Versus him coming through the youth team.
Yeah, no, that is an absolute brilliant question, because I always say to people that if he never came through the youth academy, he's performed. I actually put the second half of that season when Bentancur got injured and most of those goals were going in. It's no surprise Skip was in the middle of the park. Then the floodgates started to open. Sarr, I think, was just left hung out to dry against Newcastle when they put him in that midfield. Right, he wasn't the only player that day. As Romero's come out and said, that Newcastle game, there was a lot of conflict going on in that squad, and Sarr was just made the scapegoat. But yeah, with Skip, you kind of have to ask your question: how many in the top 10 would he actually start for?
I'm going to go further than that. I'm going to go further than that. How many teams in the Premier League does he start for?
Yeah. Now he's a great squad player.
Yeah, sure.
He's a great squad player. But if Spurs fans have the aspirations to be playing Champions League football, you then have to ask yourself, out of all the 4 teams we played in Champions League last year, who would he get into?
Mate, I honestly don't think he gets into many teams in the league. Yeah. The thing is, we have to ask ourselves as well is we talk a lot about these players and we want them to be better than they are. I like that. We will them to be better and they're one of our own, and that's great. But the problem is we also want our club to get better. Yeah. And we all crave trophies. We all crave being better, but then we champion average footballers. And unfortunately, I know that's the nice thing to do, but the top clubs, the clubs that are successful, are ruthless. Look how many good players Chelsea, for example, have let go. Look how many, you look over the years, selling Tammy Abraham, Guehi, Tomori, Lamptey, Mason Mount's just gone, Ruben Loftus-Cheek's just gone. They bring them through, they churn them out, they get rid, no sentiment. We're like, oh, it's a bit harsh. Skippy's had an injury. Okay, that doesn't change how good he is at football. All right, he's had an injury, but it doesn't mean he was brilliant at football before the injury, and we've just not seen it. He's just not that, for me, he's not mobile enough. He's not, I don't know, there's something, I see him as Winks. I don't see any difference between him and Harry Winks.
You know what it is for me? It's just the goal threat. Yeah, I know he scored a goal last season, but I've seen him in that kind of attacking position before, and I just need to see more end product. That's what it is for me. Like, he does forward passing, he does do that on a half turn. I see him do it, but I mean, you're struggling when you're talking about Skip to kind of talk him up. And it's the point that you guys said. Like, if I spoke to a Man United fan, a Chelsea fan, Arsenal fan, and I said, "Raw, Skip," see that silence?
But you probably, and no, the weirdest thing is you say them clubs, but then you probably could talk to Brighton, Villa, Bournemouth and all them, and they'll probably say they've got better players.
That kind of guy, like,
would any time you have to put yourself out there? If any club in the Premier League, right now, probably the only club that would be excited to get Skip would probably be Luton. And that's because they're preparing for next year, because they're probably preparing to go down, because this is a free hit for them. But every other club would probably go, he's not the most exciting signing, and probably seen these performances in the last 6 months and gone, they wasn't great. They were okay.
When you watch a player and you just go listen, I'm not saying every player is the same, but for example, we just watched that video of that Viega, and straight away everyone went, and everyone in the chat was I'm not saying everyone needs to be like that, but sometimes you go and watch a player like when, I hate to say it, when Declan Rice was making his debut for West Ham, you could see straight away he dominates the middle of a park, he's strong, he's powerful, he's a good passer, gets back, and you go, yeah, that's going to be a player. When I watch Ollie skip, I just feel like you're there because Spurs have bought badly. Let's be brutally honest about this, right?
Yeah.
He is there because last year we had to loan out £100 million worth of central midfielders in Lo Celso and Ndombele because they'd underperformed. He is there playing because not only did we loan those two out, Bentancur got injured, Basuma got injured. So you're literally saying, and then Højbjerg's next in line. So you're literally saying this is our 6th choice midfielder, right? And if you say that, lots of fans get really, really upset. But no other club's looking at Ollie Skip and going, oh, we'd have him. Look at Saka at Arsenal. Different position, I know. But let's be fair, you take Saka, right? You take if Saka, you would. If he weren't Arsenal, you'd go, yeah, what a player they produced.
I'm not answering that.
No, but listen, you would, right?
Yeah,
you would. You look at those players. You look at Saliba and you go, yeah, I'd take him at centre half. He's a top player. They're not looking over in our back garden and going, oh, you know, we take that Ollie Skip would. It's just, and I just think all the while we want to build around players like that. I don't think you ever challenge. I don't think you win things. Sorry if that sounds harsh on him. I just think he's banging.
No,
average.
and
Really
this is the
average.
thing. No, and we need to probably be open and honest with these conversations about certain players and go, if depending on where us fans want to see the club this time next year, obviously I think you're right about sentiment, because it then leads on to Harry Kane. Harry Kane is 30 and he's got 1 year left on his contract. Personally, I don't think he's going to sign. I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but with the Kane situation, it's kind of, we need to, if we're going to go for this rebuild, unfortunately, you can't sit there and build a team around Harry Kane when we don't know how long he's even got in his legs. So unfortunately for us, we've seen his best years. But is it time for us to move on? Just wondering how you guys, and we'll quickly go through Kane now, this last topic of the night, but how do you guys feel about the Kane situation? And I'll start with you, Ash.
It's quite simple. If you want to be here, you sign on a dotted line. And if you don't, I'm not mad at it, because you've been a loyal servant. We've just done was it a mural for you on the wall? We put him up the other day. We did like clips of like how important like he has been for Spurs. His passing range is ridiculous. He's just moved into, since he's been here, he started like as a box striker, and now he's like a false nine combined with a centre forward. Like he's just into a attacking 8 or 10, whatever you want to call that position. He's everything, and he literally got us out of everything as well. He was doing the most. So I understand the sentiment with Harry Kane. You're not going to be able to replace that. And so a lot of fans are worried. He's given us a lot to be thankful and happy about. And he's probably one of the best strikers in the Premier League, if not the best player we've come across as Spurs fans in recent history. He's broken the records, all-time top England goal scorer. But the fact of the matter remains is that he just might want a new challenge. And as fans, it's a bitter pill to swallow. We all love the club dearly, and I'm sure he does as well. But there comes to a time at a player's career when he just wants a new challenge. I personally think he would want to move to Bayern Munich, because he would hate to go on a free,
rival club.
And to a rival club, because he loves Spurs. I genuinely believe that he still loves Spurs. So I feel like he thinks the best thing for him to do is to go to Bundesliga and try and go for that Champions League project, because I'm sure that's what Tuchel sold to him. I don't think it's a thing where he's going to go to the Bundesliga to lift the trophy and it's a 2-horse race. I don't think that's the case. I think Tuchel really sold him that European dream. And let's face it, Kane wants Europe. Even when it came to Conference League, he wasn't even sticking his nose up to that. He was like, let's be humble about it. Like a championship, a European championship in conference. Let's not like be what's the word for it? Like, let's not be smug. Let's kind of go for it. We're like, and now Champions League. He's a Champions League player. He's played in it last season. He wants to stay there. He wants to be spoken about amongst the leagues, and he's at that part of his career where he wants to continue that. I honestly believe that. And I think with a lot of fans, they think if we lose Harry Kane, club's done, you know, and there's no way back. And I think that's the biggest worry for a lot of fans. There's a lot of panic. Me personally, I always go back to that Champions League moment when he was injured, and we got to that Champions League final without him. I feel like other players will step up. I don't think it will be as straightforward. I think we will drop down a little bit, but it's necessary. We need to spread the debt. Other players do need to step up. And I just think it's a necessary evil that we need to go through. It's going to happen at some point. Why not now? Do you know what I mean? Why not now? But my thing is, whilst he's here, why wouldn't we buy a player now before we sell him and the price is hike up because we know we've got Kane money? Why not do the, I'm going to say sensible thing? Let me just stop talking. Let me just stop. Next.
Hass, I'm going to come to you next because I want to leave the last word because he's our guest. I want to leave the last word to Sava on the whole Harry Kane situation, right? Whether it's positive or negative. But Hass, where do you fit on the Harry Kane situation quickly?
Look, I think the club knew that it was going to get to this point from last season where he was going to enter into his last season of his contract. And I think some sort of measures should have been put into place from last season. Conversation should have been had with Harry, perhaps what he wants to do. And then it should have been sorted out early doors. You know, if Bayern Munich were interested before the end of last season, maybe we should have sort of entertained that if that's what Harry wanted. Because at the end of the day, we've got a player who, you know, we might lose on a free for next season. And he might end up going to a rival. You know, that's a double whammy. I'd rather, if I'm being honest with you, I've loved every minute of having Kane at Tottenham. But if it means that him being sold is going to give us the funds to go out and buy new defenders, new players where, you know, we need to address in certain areas, then that's what we have to do. Because we all knew deep down that this day was going to come at some point, whether it's this season, next season, you know, wherever. It was going to happen, and it's happened before. But my thing is, might sound a little bit controversial, but I think with most Tottenham fans, I think it's the fear of us not being relevant anymore because of losing Kane. And I think deep down, that's what the fear is as well. Not just that, you know, we'll be losing goals and stuff. Because I don't think we'll be losing that many goals if we lose Kane, because we'll get it from other areas. But I think it's just that fear of what are we as a club without an elite player like Harry Kane? You know, yes, I know we'll have Son, we'll have Maddison and everyone else. But let's be honest, the first player that comes to mind when you ask any person around the world, doesn't have to be a Spurs fan, the first player that comes to mind is Harry Kane. Yeah, the first player that comes to mind when you say Tottenham Hotspur, Harry Kane, because he's synonymous with the club. Now you lose him, we've not even got European football next season. All of a sudden you're looking at Tottenham just another average club side. You know, their elite superstars gone. But that's where the management have to have clear forward thinking. You know, they needed to have had a plan from the outset. And you know, if I could highlight the word plan, I'd highlight it, because it's something that's not synonymous with our football club. Forward planning is not something that we do. But look, before I sort of digress into something else, I just think it should have been sorted out early doors. I've got a feeling it's going to drag out till the end of the transfer window, and it's going to be the same scenario where we drag our heels over it, and then the club that are interested will get it over the line some point before the transfer window closes, to our detriment, because the only person that we'll have left to fill his void is Richarlison, and that's my stance on it.
Sava, say best opinion till last.
No, listen, it's not. Listen, it's. I'm really pragmatic about it. I don't do emotional attachment to players. I don't do it. I don't care if you're Harry Kane. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Ronaldo, if you're Messi. I don't care. If you don't want to be at my club, then don't be at my club. By my club, I mean our club, right? I'm just saying my club is in who I support. If you don't want to be here, go, right? We've had 10 great years from Harry Kane. The club, I disagree with Haz on this front. I think we become a better club and a better team without him. And hear me out. Hear me out. For the last 4 or 5 years, everything this club has done has gone through Harry Kane. Everything. They've all been allowed to get away with everything because it's okay. Harry Kane's here. Yeah. Every manager, the manager, Nuno, Jose, Conte, everything has been, let's get it into Kane. Kane will either create or score. That's great in those systems. This new system won't be that. This new system is a system that gets everybody involved. It's almost chaotic. This system revolves around 6, 7 players getting forward, 5, 6 players getting in the box. Yeah, everybody moving the ball from the right to the left, centrally. This revolves around everyone getting involved. And it's a fallacy when people say we'll lose 30 goals. We won't lose 30 goals. That's not true. We won't lose 30 goals because what you gain is every minute that Kane has played means those minutes are spread out among other players. Those players will score goals in an attacking formation, right? I've seen Berbatov and Keane go. We grew stronger. I've seen Bale go. We dipped. We grew stronger. I've seen Sheringham go twice. We dipped, we grew stronger. Waddle, Hoddle, Ginola. We've seen these Modric. We've seen these players go. We move forward. At the moment, it seems like it's the end of the world. Right? It seems like it's the end of the world. But I truly believe we actually start being a team, not the Harry Kane team, like Pep said. And he was right. I think we start becoming a team where you say, right, Son, we need 15 to 20 from you this season. Maddison, you get 10 to 12, which he does for Leicester. Right? Solomon, you get 5 or 6. Kulu, you get 7 or 8. Yeah? Charlison, just get 6 or 7. Right? You're going to bring in another young forward as well. Porro likes to attack. Adoji attacks. He scores goals. If you've got in a Conor Gallagher, a Viega, whoever you want to put in that bracket, they're going to chip in with some goals. Right? This is the thing. We've got to stop being so scared about the past. Like already I'm seeing what happened with the Bale money. This is irrelevant. It's not a real point. It's irrelevant. We're not in that era. In that era where we got 95 million for Gareth Bale, that was huge money. Now 95, 100 million, that's not going to buy you 7 new players. Yeah, you'll get 2 or 3 if you're lucky. Go out there, build the squad that Postecoglou wants. Do what Brighton do. Do what Arsenal do. None of them have a 30-goal a season striker. You know who Brighton's top goal scorer was last year?
It's got who?
Gross.
No, Gross. Yeah.
Alexis McAllister with 12.
Oh, that's it.
You know,
I thought you were going to say Trossard actually for a second.
12 goals. Arsenal's top goal scorer had 15 goals. We've been so indoctrinated to think that you've got to have a 30-goal a season man that we can't think of anything else. Once he goes, once the dust settles, we will have a team that doesn't rely on one man. I think it will be stronger. Doesn't want to be here. You cannot let him walk on a free. That will be the kick in the teeth. Get rid of him. Get the 90-95. Thank you for everything you've done. Wish you well. You're gone. I'm Tottenham. You're no longer Tottenham.
Can I just say, Sabo? I know you said you don't agree with me. That's fine.
That's right.
Saying, no.
But there we go. But
no, I wasn't saying that I think will be less relevant. I'm just saying what people are scared of. I get the feeling people are sort of going on about it in a way where they're like, what happens if we lose him? We can't lose him. He's Kane. We become less relevant sort of thing. I've been banging on about it for weeks now. I said before, and I'll say it again. We'll find a way to score goals. And I was mentioning someone at my workplace just today. We had that season where Kane was out and Son was banging in goals for fun.
Right.
I remember we beat Manchester City 2-0. Son scored 2 goals. Absolutely. Nailed their carcass to the wall. But
has most of the reason we've not been scoring goals is the formations and the philosophies in the last 3 or 4 years haven't been for other people to join in and attack. The philosophies have been get it to Kane and Son. That's great. But then when they're not playing, we lose it. This now won't be everyone going, well, we've got Kane. It will be Sonny popping up there, Solomon popping up there, Maddison, Charlison, Porro. Other players will come in. They won't, like people going, just go and buy Mwani at 85 million. Why? You don't need to do that. Go and scout well, get some young, hungry players. With that money, shore up the back. We could take 30 goals away from Harry Kane, right? We might make up 15 or 20 of them from other players. That's all you might have to if you stop conceding so many at the back. So get that money, shore up the back. Yeah. Then over the next couple of windows, start building that front line again if you want to. But I think a lot of people will be surprised how a team is greater than one player. Yeah. For me, I've almost, I'm going to say something, people are going to hate me. I've almost become bored of it being just Harry Kane. I've become bored of it being, oh, we're bad at football, but don't worry, Harry Kane will grab a ball and score a goal in a minute. This year we'll be good at football. We might concede loads, right? but we're going to be good at football. People will chip in. And I think it's a lot of the younger fans that haven't been through this before. Right? Sorry, last thing, I promise, then I'll shut up. Right? Last thing, I promise. Do you know what? Jamie O'Hara on TalkSport this morning said losing Kane will be as devastating, the word he used, crushing or devastating as when Spurs lost Berbatov. If anyone remembers, when we actually lost Berbatov, the first 8 games afterwards were terrible because we didn't replace Berbatov in a 4-4-2, right? But we didn't just lose Berbatov. We lost Berbatov and Robbie Keane in the same window, if you remember, right? After that 8 games, that was the period that saw Spurs go from mid-table to top 4. Because Redknapp came in, built a philosophy that wasn't built around one team. Modric wasn't the superstar he was. Bale wasn't the superstar he was. Brought in Jermaine Defoe, Wilson Palacios, Nico Kranjčar, Chorluka, just solid players. And he created a team that everyone liked watching. Everyone was scared of. Yeah. And then you saw superstars start to sprout from that. I see a lot of similarities to this. Now I'll shut up.
Can I just say, similar scenario would have been Watford with Troy Deeney up front. Always relied on Troy Deeney. Always, relying on him to get the goals, him to do everything. And I know it's a different scenario, but, Watford's obviously been up and down. But similar scenario where a club relies on one person. Even like you could even go as far as saying Barcelona overly reliant on Lionel Messi. But he was doing the business year after year, wasn't he? So, but yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think we need to start being that team where we can, act as a team rather than the Harry Kane club. That's not, and this is where people get it twisted. People are like, yeah, but you're hating on Harry Kane. Well, how can you say that, this, that, and the other? It's not. It's just looking at it factually.
It's a compliment to Harry Kane.
Oh, of course, yeah. And he'll go, he'll go to another club where he'll become a part of that sort of cog where, he'll do what he's supposed to do. Like, Bayern Munich, he'll replace Lewandowski, banging 30+ goals. Bob's your uncle, It won't be like
how many teams in the world have a 30-goal a season striker?
Probably 3 or 4.
Right. There you go.
Exactly.
And all these other teams haven't gone into administration. They've not collapsed. The world hasn't ended. Right. The stadium didn't burn down. This was always going to happen. And I think I mentally prepared for this years ago when I saw how badly we were being run. And if he's played his last game for Spurs, I'm at the stage. I'm honest. I just don't care. Just sell him, get the money in, act like a big club. Let's stop crying about it as a fan base. Let's look forward to the future. Sorry, I'm a bit blunt, and I just can't be. I've got no emotion left for sentiment.
No, great point. So, quick before we go, it has been reported in the last 27 minutes in the Bloomberg. Can't get on it because every Spurs fan is probably looking at it. That Joe Lewis has been done for inside trading. So tomorrow, go join the Football Heritage because he'll have more information on it than we do tonight. So everyone go and join Sava tomorrow. Sava, thank you very much for joining me, Hassan Ashmatic, on our channel tonight and bringing people over.
Love.
Enjoyed it.
Pleasure having you on.
No, wait, whoa. You're not doing that. You're not in the We got one more. The reason why he brought up Kane was because we're linked with Tony.
Oh yeah, I forgot you done a video on Tony. We can't. We can do Tony next week, man. We ain't gonna sign him anytime soon.
He's not going anywhere between now and next week, Ash.
No, I sit there patiently and I think you're wrong. Surely Marlon knows, man. He's got this.
Blame Hass, man. Blame Hass. He kept talking.
I was thinking, bro, I was getting kind of late. I said, bro, wait a minute. All right, you know what? Love.
We got Tony. We got Tony for next week. So anyone who's tuned in, thank you for subbing tonight. Thank you. You know, Ashmatic actually spends a lot of time going through what he goes through and does what he does. Cool, right? So big up. But yeah, since Tony's not going anywhere and Kane hopefully will be going to Bayern in the next week, we've got loads of time to do it. We'll actually probably have to do a striker show next week because we ain't going to be linked with no one else. So,
it just means you have to tune in next week. So tune in next week.
Yeah. Make sure you tune in next week. But Sava, thank you for coming on and joining us.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me. You guys are great. And I'll put a YouTube post out afterwards to get people to subscribe because you guys is criminal with the content that you put out that you're not higher.
And thank you to everyone in the chat tonight, all of you, even the ones, apart from one person, but apart from everyone else, thank you in the chat for being there, joining us tonight. You've made the show what it is. So thanks again. But yeah, Football Heritage, all of you should know where Sava is. He's there. Go join him. And yeah, as always, thank you guys. Come on, you Spurs, and join Sava tomorrow morning for his rant.